Welcome to She Said.
Let's, where usually we chat the highs and lows of the business of film and TV,
Shine a light on women who empower us.
and dish on plot twists in our lives that we just had to say let's to.
However, in today's episode, we'll be doing things a bit differently. We told you all that we were going to be doing different episodes this year, and we have stuck true to that. So as we are rounding out season 2, we had to end with another fun episode that we actually wanted to do last year and we didn't get to do. So I was like, we must do it this year.
It's time. And that's why it's just Kay and I today, because this is the, wait for it, drum roll please, Spooky Girl episode.
So it is October, if you weren't aware, which means it is the Halloween season, aka one of Hannah and I's favorite times of the year. We both very enjoy all things spooky. And fun fact is that Hannah and I actually really bonded on Halloween.
That's true.
In 2019, so 5 years ago now.
I was dead Wilma Flintstone and Kay was a flaming hot Cheeto.
Yes. So that is part of our origin story where we found out about both of our aspirations in film and TV. And now here we are blabbering your ears off. So if that wouldn't have happened, if this Halloween wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have been here, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Correct. We actually wouldn't have been. Anyway, in film and TV, Halloween signifies adventure, important costume choices, eerie activities, and sometimes even murder. All things Kay and I are equally fond of to an extent. So we are going to try to keep this within a similar format to our normal episodes, just with like a little bit of a spooky twist on some of the segments that you already know and love and admire.
Twisting.
So do you have to crack your back?
No, I'm twisting. A spooky twist, you know?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yeah, we shall. All right. Well, cheers with your Waterloo. I'm drinking blood today.
The power of Christ compels you. Mm-hmm.
Used to be Catholic, I guess.
Yeah, we both have religious trauma.
At one point or another. So we are back with
I'm a blank,
where we choose a movie or TV show and decide which character we are in the backstory of why.
This week, we will be doing the classic 90s witchy film, Hocus Pocus, where Max explores an abandoned house with his little sister and their friend, and accidentally they find and free the Sanderson sisters. Then, with the help of a talking cat, the kids have to steal the witch's book of magic to prevent them from becoming immortal.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite movies growing up, which I feel like many 90s kids would echo the sentiment on. I was obsessed with Thora Birch, so please go back to our Hot Girl Summer episode where we talk about Now and Then to find out more about that obsession. So, Hannah, there are so many wild and spooky characters to choose from in this film. So who would you be, and what is the backstory of why?
I feel like you'll already be able to guess at least one of the ones. Surprise, again, I picked two people because I can't just choose one. And honestly, I do truly relate to these two characters, but I chose Sarah Sanderson and Danny. And I feel like I resonate and relate to Sarah Sanderson because on a level, I mean, she is a witch, obviously, but she's also so like whimsical and not everyone takes her super seriously all the time, and she's the fun witch of the sisters. I think she doesn't really take life too seriously, and I relate to that because I too think I'm a witch, and I also don't really take life too seriously because life's too short. She also will say like the most outlandish shit at all points in time, and I too really resonate with that.
Also, she has a lot of energy, and I feel like even the way she moves sometimes is like you.
No, I agree. I feel like I relate to her on a soul level. Like she is me, I am her, but I am also like younger me is Danny.
She gets really excited about like things that no one would care about, which I think you do too.
I get excited about so many things that literally nobody could give two fucks about. I see a ladybug outside and I get so excited. I'm like, ladybug. And then I talk about it for 20 minutes. It's great. I enjoy the little things in life. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that she does too. Danny, as somebody who is also the youngest child and someone who prides themselves on being an absolute fucking annoyance to my siblings. You're welcome. I really relate to Danny. And this might sound like a little contradicting compared to like what I was just talking about with Sarah, but I feel like Danny is very fearless. She also really loves to explore and like wants to continually find answers to everything. So I also think that she has this awareness about her, even as such a young child, that not a lot of the other children noticed. And she's also interested in all the spooky shit, which like same sis. She's well aware of her surroundings and she's pretty self-aware for her age, but she also still has that naive sense about her.
Yeah, she still like cries when things are like scary sometimes, even though she's curious about them when other people might not be.
Yeah.
I also, in the spirit of, Hannah, I also picked two people. I will just say first off that I wanted to do this movie because there are so many memes. I know you all know what I'm talking about, that talk about how when you're young, you related to one Sanderson sister. And then when you were like in your 20s, you related to another Sanderson sister. And now you relate to a different Sanderson sister. And they are very funny. Yeah, but I can see what they're trying to say.
No, I get the message.
Yeah. However, as a kid, I think that they say that they relate to Winifred last, but even as a kid, I related to Winnie immediately. And I think
Winnie, like a good gal pal,
Winnie. And I think I've mentioned it before, but I often found other kids my own age to be quite dumb. So I was way too precocious for my own good. And I think Winifred points out all of the dumb decisions or things that her sisters say or do. And she is definitely the one who connives and like schemes all the plans.
That's us. That is us. Because I'll say some outlandish shit and you'll just look at me and be like, uh-huh, and then just go on. And that is so Sarah Winnie coded.
Yeah, 100%. And she has red hair too, and you have blonde hair. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Braxton could be the third one. She is definitely the person who connives and schemes all the plans, and I am very much a schemer and a conniver, as we were just sidebarring about. I'm the leader, shocker, in this scenario. I also would like to say that when I put a few glasses of witch's brew in me, here we are, my own very witch's brew, that I will perform a killer rendition of I Put a Spell on You as well.
Can confirm.
Yeah, let's go to karaoke. Let's do it. I'll perform for you. Winifred often gets ahead of herself, though, I think, and refuses to accept help from her sisters. And that gets her in trouble sometimes, as we see towards the end of the movie. I myself am trying to be better about that and accept help from my friends as well and be more open about things that I am struggling with. So yeah,
You've been doing a lot better with it.
I think so too. My therapist also is very proud of me.
You have. I've also been very proud of you because you've been openly speaking, like not that you haven't before, but you've been openly speaking your mind more and feeling a lot more comfortable with like actually explaining how you're feeling. And I think I would like to commend you for that because I see it and I think that you don't get enough credit for it.
Thank you. I don't.
We're looking at you.
The person that I have to mention, which will be a bit controversial that I am, is the black cat. And
that also makes a lot of sense. Ari's over the
corner. Which we all know is Thackeray Binks. What a name. Thackeray Binks. So he is stuck in a cat's body forever. So after Thackeray fails to save his sister Emily from the witches, he dedicates his life to protecting that house so they never come back. And I think I am somewhat of a martyr when it comes to saving others from a plethora of things, really, themselves even. And maybe because I grew up with so much hurt when I was a kid, so I now want to protect like other kids. Like I wanted to be like a child psychologist for a long time. So whether that be through like mental health awareness or helping people with their mental health, or even in the things I write to make people feel less alone.
I think that could be a blessing and a curse, which I relate to that. I relate to that. But yeah, that's a blessing and a curse, but for reasons that we were just sidebarring about.
Well, and I'm also the person who is never afraid to stand up for other people in like an uncomfortable situation or something, even if I like don't even really know the person. Like
Have
even if I
seen
just
it.
saw like a random girl being treated weirdly by a random guy, I would still like go to defend her even though I don't know them, because I just feel like I got to stand up for the little guy. And, you know, I'm willing to fight for the communities that I care about, which is women, queer people, Latinos, any person of color. But Thackeray has some funny ass lines as well when he's a cat. So that is definitely me. Well, people like to pretend that Halloween is a kid's holiday, but most of the people I know happen to celebrate it as adults too. Although, you know, when you think about, I never even think I'm an adult. You know what I mean? When I say
Yeah,
adults, I mean like older.
no, I relate to that.
Yeah,
There
it's
are
weird.
times where I still feel, I mean, there are times where I feel like I am 65 years old. And then there are
True.
other times where I feel like I'm should be 15.
Yeah,
It
100%.
doesn't
I might
make
even be
sense.
10. I don't even know.
Sometimes I also think I might be bionic. I don't know.
I know I'm not just speaking for myself when I say that Halloween is ageless.
Correct. Correct. So today we are going to do a spin on a segment.
Let's go back,
where we will talk about Halloween memories of years past that were inspired by movies or TV. So, Kay, why don't you kick us off and we will do kind of a back and forth type thing.
Yes, I love to do back and forth. So I'm going to start with a movie that you don't necessarily think of being a Halloween movie because it isn't. But it does involve a Halloween scene that is very iconic, and that would be Mean Girls. Okay. I remember when this came out and Regina describes like how all the girls in high school are just like slutty animals. Or maybe it's Amanda Seyfried's character says that, or Gretchen Wiener's character says that.
Amanda Seyfried. I'm a mouse.
Yeah, Amanda
Duh.
Seyfried.
Seyfried.
But they say that they're just slutty animals and that Katie, you know, that's what Katie should have been as well. But then she shows up as that wild, like dead bride, and everyone is horrified when she's like actually scary.
Yes.
So this lived with me, and I vowed as an early teen slash or as a teen slash early adult to always be something slutty and never something scary. However, now that I'm older, I do a bit of a hybrid of the two because I, of course, still want to look cute on Halloween, but I do very much enjoy horror and like scary stuff. Horrors and horror, you know, horrors and horror. But I will say that that like always stuck in my brain, like it like scarred me that I couldn't just be something like scary for Halloween, otherwise I wouldn't be cool.
Really?
Yeah, when I was
Fuck
a when
that.
I was a teenager,
No,
that's
you
what I
take
thought.
something scary and you make it hot.
Well, I that's fine, but I'm saying like I couldn't just be like something unless I was also still hot.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm
Fair.
saying.
Fair.
You know what I
Got it.
mean?
Got
Which
it. Got it.
sometimes I did want to be that. Sometimes I just wanted to be like a weird, scary thing,
Yeah.
you know, be
Fair.
ugly, but I couldn't.
Fair. I did not give two singular fucks. My first thing is the Addams Family Values. These movies, which I talked about in previous episodes, I know I have. I cannot tell you which ones. Probably a previous Halloween episode if you go back in time a little bit there and
We've
listen
never
back.
done a Halloween episode.
We've done one around Halloween time where we've
No,
talked
we
about.
didn't. We had to skip that time because I was in my fellowship.
Oh, that's right. Okay, no, then we've done horror episodes before where I've talked about this.
Yes.
Go back and listen and find them. There are horror-based episodes. The Addams Family Values were two very like pertinent films in my childhood, so much so that I mean, I still to this day hyperfixate on things, but that was one of the few things that I hyperfixated on as a child. And I was and still am to this day in love with Morticia and Gomez's relationship. I love the
Everyone
weird
loves it. The
energy.
memes are all still
I know
there
they're
and
beautiful, and it like I love the dynamic of the family and how everybody has this like weird, creepy energy. And I feel like that also kind of feeds into my humor. Anyway, whenever I was 5, I was so inspired by this that I really wanted to be Morticia Addams for Halloween one year. So my school did like the little like Halloween parade thing where all the kids would dress up like you're in kindergarten, you're dressed up, you're doing like a little Halloween parade and like going and collecting candy, and then all the parents or like families would show up and like it would be a whole thing. I went as Morticia Addams. I just recently found
Oh, yes,
photos
I have seen this
of
photo.
me dressed as Morticia Adams, 5 years old, dressed up as Morticia Adams. The wig didn't eat. I thought I fucking ate in that costume.
You probably did for the time. You know what I mean?
Fuck
For the time.
no.
You don't know. I had like hand sewn costumes, like specially made for me every year. Crazy shit. I wish I still had
Iconic.
them.
That would be up. You could hand them down to Draco.
I know. Well, speaking of Christina Ricci,
Ugh, my
because
queen.
so Castrina, it is late at night.
It is
now. It is 10.
10:15 p.m.
Yeah, it's a late one. We don't usually record this late.
No, we never. This is the latest we've ever recorded.
These lights are blinding me.
Fully on me.
It was. I almost murdered her. I was cosplaying as Chucky in that.
And she actually almost did murder me. She texted me before that. I texted her and she was like, I actually may kill you. And then she
said, I'm going to kill myself. And I said, I might beat you too. And then I said, I'm going to make myself some gyoza so that I don't murder you as soon as you walk in the door.
And then as soon as I left, I got a text from her being like, what was it? The chili oil has entered my system.
No, I said, update. The chili oil has soothed my murderous behavior.
And I said, good, because I'm on my way.
Yeah, just in time. It was just in time. But anyways, Christina Ricci was my bitch in the 90s. And there was something about her voice that made her great in movies about spooky things. And anybody who's ever listened to the pod knows that I am big on voices. And also that we have gorgeous voices that you get to listen to every other week. Anyways, I'm not exactly sure what made it so great for spooky movies, but she is still doing a ton of shit now. She's even in, the new Wednesday and all of that jazz as well. So Sleepy Hollow had Christopher Walken, Johnny Depp, and her. And it was one of the first movies that I claimed that I liked simply because of the coloring of it. Now, of course, I mention this with tons of movies that I talk about on this podcast and even in my regular life because it shows kind of my taste. But I didn't know that I already had taste when I was a little kid, which I did. Apparently. So I did not really get scared very easily when I was young. I still don't really get scared very easily. So this movie did not frighten me as a little kid, but I showed it to my twin cousins who were about the same age as me. They're boys, and they were definitely so scared. They like spent the night at our house or something. And I was like, oh, we got to watch this movie, of course, at night in the dark and all that stuff. So I love that I had like one over on them because I felt like they were always telling me I couldn't do shit because I was a girl and whatever. And so I was like, are you scared? Because that bullshit that you do when you're younger. And honestly, that we still do to this day. Unfortunately, men at night when we would have sleepovers, I would hide my head in my shirt. Like I would put it down so that the shirt was like above it or whatever, and I would scare them because I would pretend in the middle of the night because I would pretend to be the headless horseman and they would scream like bloody murder. And I think one of them even cried one time, which was amazing to me. I would, of course, just laugh and laugh and laugh. And then, of course, my mom or our grandparents would be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to them? And I was like, I didn't do anything. I'm not doing anything. I just came in here, lying.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'd still do it again to this day.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
So again, going back.
Remember when you didn't know what this was and let's plot it out one time? And
I can't believe I didn't know how I didn't know how to fully describe it, and I was also
I think you
high. You also know that in those games, these are games that are timed, and you have to pull it out of a You've seen it,
yeah. You know how to. You know what it's about. The mailbox.
It gives me anxiety. My brain. I try to think of things as soon as it's like on the dot. It just goes blank. There is nothing there. It's just a black screen, black hole. Can't see anything, any thought that goes through it. It just drifts away. Don't know where it goes. Dissolves.
It's all the weed.
Maybe. Anyway, Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger. My brother and sister have kind of desensitized me to the entirety of the horror. Fuck.
My mouth just looks so gross doing that. I watch myself in the camera.
It's the fact that neither of us could fucking speak. Horror films.
That's because we're from over there, you know.
Yeah,
we're not like you people. We're not from a big city. We don't talk correctly. We don't talk right.
Freddy Krueger. I keep wanting to say Freddie Mercury because I don't. Queen is like in my head for some reason. Anyway, they desensitized me, my brother and sister, to horror films from a very young age. I grew up on Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy versus Jason, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Scream, all of those films. But I love Freddy Krueger. I think it's insane that somebody can or that they created a character that was coming out of your dreams, or like not even necessarily coming out of your dreams, but living in your dreams and killing you within your sleep. It really got me thinking one year, and I was like, I want to go as the female Freddy Krueger for Halloween.
You should. I've seen them.
No, I did.
I've seen. Oh, you
I did.
When?
In middle school.
Oh, I was thinking recently.
No, I was in middle school, bro. Female Freddy Krueger up in this bitch. I literally had like the sweater dress that was like cut up, the hand, the hat. I needed everything. I like made the costume myself.
Love it. I'm going to talk about Are You Afraid of the Dark? Okay. Which was on Nickelodeon for anybody who didn't watch Nick at Night. Like
that shit was my, oh my God, bread and butter growing up.
Nick at Night. Fucking,
I was such a late night kid.
I feel so bad for these kids these days.
I know.
Streaming, they get to pick whatever they want. No, be forced to discover things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You never know.
Well, that's why
you never know.
That I feel like we kind of had a nice advantage within our childhood into early adulthood, or like early teen years, where we got both the getting to actually like go and play outside and like not have technology be directly in front of our faces, and got to discover all of these new things just by like sitting in front of a television and watching through the commercials and seeing all the different creativity, and like that sparks further creativity in you whenever you're like outside playing with your friends.
Well, also,
and then into adulthood, whenever technology was introduced to us, and then cell phones started coming out and becoming a little bit more popular, so we like saw it all come to life and are growing with it, in a way. But it's also advancing so much faster than us at the same time.
I also think, even like in talking about creativity and forming, things that you want to create, a lot of times you have to go out of your comfort zone in order to do that. And so I think now kids get to choose exactly what they want to watch, exactly what they want to do, exactly, what they want to consume as far as art goes. And we didn't really get to choose because we, one, didn't have as many options, and two, like if there's something on I mean, you could click through all the channels, and if you just got to pick something after a while, but then something from that we didn't really even want to watch could then spark something else that we never knew we could even go down the road of. But you would never even get that opportunity if you just get to choose the same things all the time, right? Which, so well, that's why we're better than you. But anyways, back to the show. Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
So this show made me want to tell ghost stories around a campfire at every Halloween or fall event. I grew up in Michigan, as many of you know, so bonfires and spooky outdoor activities were definitely a thing. Fall was obviously my favorite time of the year. It's when my birthday is. It's when you go back to school, and it's when Halloween is. And Libra season is right before Halloween, so I love that. So we would even do like haunted hay rides every year, which I do miss. I know they have one here, but like this one sucks.
No, I love the one out here.
It sucks compared to like the ones like in the Midwest and stuff.
Well, yeah, compared to the ones in the Midwest, those ones are so much scarier.
I want to go I want to be in the middle.
A lot
of the
time you have to sign a waiver for those, and they like get to kind of grab you or reach for you. And it's like,
I want to feel like I'm actually going to be murdered.
No, same.
I know. Where can we find that? Tell us where to find it.
Yeah, can you guys let us know in the comments where we can find a haunted hayride where we can feel like we're actually going to like
And then we'll
maybe be
film it.
murdered.
We'll put it up on the YouTube.
I don't think they allow that.
Oh,
Because
you're
usually whenever
probably
you
right.
sign the waiver, then because they have the cameras and then they have the shit that
True,
yeah, and then you have to
true.
pay an extra fee for
I
that footage.
don't want that.
Because that so you can't do that.
So, anyways, we would do the haunted hay rides out in the forest, and sometimes even in the bed of the trucks, I would like tell fictitious tales to my friends to get them like extra frightened as we went through the hayride. I honestly credit this show with helping me learn how to tell stories in a very dramatic way and to kind of bury the lead on things or give little clues to things when I was going to like reveal gas for the elements, because even the way that the kids, obviously they were actors, but even the way that the kids would then like tell the stories or narrate the stories in the background, even though we got to see them, was just, it was cool because you got to see how someone would tell a story and then how visually it would look at the same time. So then you could then mirror that and make sure that the stories you were telling, people could see visually in their head as well. Like that you use different adverbs or different, you pause during certain things or whatever it was. And so thank you to Are You Afraid of the Dark? You should all be saying you're welcome,
So
because you
you're
get
welcome
to you get to hear me say these stories now.
One missed call. Yes. That was, I think, one of the like horror films that I watched in like I don't know, late elementary school, like early middle school, that actually scared the ever living fuck out of me, because I was like, oh, I like this could be it couldn't actually be something that like happens, but I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's crazy and dangerous. Anyway, oh, who was it? Somebody in my close circle, and I can't remember if it was family or friend, changed their ringtone to the one missed call ringtone. And then it got a group of us just changing our ringtones to the one missed call ringtone to freak everybody else out. So we did that for a while, and it definitely freaked everybody out.
Kind of forgot about that movie in
Really?
general. Yeah. Now I
No,
kind of want
I
to go
can
back and
never
watch it.
I can never forget about that. The red candy that comes out of the mouth whenever they die after the missed call, and then her healing everything in the
What if
fucking
you just gave
hospital.
out those red candies like in a bowl for Halloween? Like you just
Wait.
made them and then you put them in a thing. So you were like going to kill all these people that come.
That'd
all
be
these,
really good for like a
all
Halloween
these
party.
kids. Yeah, that may be better at a Halloween party.
Yeah.
I'm so murderous.
Yeah, we're not going to kill children. No.
It was a gag, It was a bit. Okay, maybe you can't take a joke. I am going to talk about the Halloween Town. And I'm not going to lie, I low-key hated Marnie's character in that movie. Yeah. I forget because they made like 3 or 4 of them now. And so I keep thinking it's a show, even though I know it's a movie. And maybe I just talk about shows too much. And so I forget that things are movies. But anyways, so I low-key hated her in this film. I thought that her character was such a rule follower. And I was definitely not that as a kid. In fact, I was quite the opposite. I love doing things wrong. I still kind of love doing things wrong. Kind of. I thought her little sister, who could barely talk, was cooler than her, honestly. But I didn't have the Disney Channel as a kid, so every year I would make an excuse to have sleepovers at one of my friends' house around this time so that I could watch this movie and the other Halloween ones that would play back to back. However, this was kind of a hard thing for me to do because, as I mentioned, I did go to Catholic school, and then later on in life, I knew people who were like Jehovah's Witnesses and like all of these different religions, and then I would be shook that they were not allowed to watch fucking Halloween movies because it had like witches and shit in it. And I was like, what do you mean it's on the Disney Channel? You should be able to watch all of this. So that was shocking to me. However, I would make excuses to go to these people's houses for that. Also, the grandma was such a badass in this movie, and I loved how female empowerment really came through in all of these movies, especially because the bad guys happened to be men who seemed to have insecurities or their egos had been crushed in some way. Like there's that one kid who's like all ugly and shit. Like but then he makes him look pretty. He's like, looks like a fucking goblin or something.
They just like take off his glasses or something.
No, dude. Remember he grows that like nose and stuff, but he's like kind of hot before. Ari has come to visit us. God, not a goblin here. This is a beautiful boy. A beautiful boy.
It's a goblin.
Anyways, so and then the other guy, the reason why he's all butthurt is because the mom turned him down and like married someone else after she dated him or whatever. Fucking so fragile. So typical reason for men to become monsters. Just getting turned down slightly. But I will say that that ending scene when it's like the grandma, the mom, the sister, the Marnie, whatever, and they all like lock hands and they say the spells together. I'm like, fuck yeah, girl power. Blast these boys to death. You know?
Yeah. So last and definitely not least, I would like to talk about the iconic comedy film. I think I would consider this a comedy, but also spooky Halloweeny, Beetlejuice. An incredible film. I feel
very topical right now.
Very, very topical because Beetlejuice just came out recently. We must not forget that. I have not watched it yet.
Hannah, it's so you can't even, you aren't even allowed to talk about it then.
I was waiting for it.
You're not a true
I was
fan.
waiting for it to come to streaming so I could actually enjoy it in my home.
No, enjoy it in the theater. It was amazing.
Beetlejuice was such like an integral, again, part of my childhood, and I think my sense of comedy in general, and that is just something I want to touch on because I think even still to this day, if I'm ever feeling uninspired or just like kind of down in the dumps, there are certain movies that I turn to bring myself out of that funk. And Beetlejuice is like one of the top ones. It's just like I feel like there's so much creativity behind it and there's so much that you can build off of from it, and there are so many worlds that you can turn into, and I think that it's so funny and the plot line is so fantastic and it's such a classic film,
and we talk about it in Jerry's episode as well, so go back to that and listen to that.
Well,
all of us have seen enough time travel movies to last us a lifetime. But in today's newer segment, which we introduced in our Girly Pops Talk Culture episode, which go back and listen to that, we are going to do a bit of it ourselves. So this is
Let's Rewrite History. In the case of today's theme, we will discuss popular horror and or Halloween movies that we would like to rewrite, whether that be people we didn't want killed or maybe did, relationships in the film, endings, plot points, etc.
So, I don't know if I ever told this story on the pod before, but my grandma and I used to watch movies together all the time. I'm talking about my white grandma, so the one on my dad's side, mainly because she was always so judgmental to me that I figured I had to do something that she didn't have a chance to pick at me at. So obviously, when you're watching a movie, there's not a lot of talking going on. So it was perfect for us. But nonetheless, one day when I was about 7 years old, it came on TV, and she told me that it was a kids movie because it starred kids. Exactly.
That's so fucking funny. That's honestly so me as a mother.
Which I think Stephen King and the rest of the world would definitely much disagree with for good reason.
Yeah.
I watched it, and after it, I was terrified to take a shower and or even wash my hands. And I swear to God, it was for years. I was fucking so scared to shower. Like, I was like, maybe if I take a bath and like it would be better. I would like open the door before I wash my hands so that I could like yell out if something was like taking me from the water. Sometimes I just had dirty hands. I'm not going to fucking lie about it. I was so scared to wash my fucking hands. So, hand sanitizer, I suppose. Anyways, now looking back on it, I realized that the reason this affected me so much is because my imagination, since I was little, worked in a way that whenever I was in a scenario, I would immediately picture how I could die in it. And this is stuck with me still to this day. I often picture how I will die in anything I do, no matter how ridiculous it could possibly be, which is exactly the kind of scenarios that happened in it. They were very ridiculous, but that was already how my mind worked. So then it was like reaffirming that that could actually happen to me, which was bad for me at the time. So if I could rewrite this movie, I would set it in the 90s, first of all, shocker, because duh, I am a 90s kid. I would have it communicate actually through technology based things, because as we just kind of mentioned, technology was kind of a newer thing in the 90s, and so it did scare a lot of people, I think, at the time. So it could be scary if it was set during that time because we didn't know a lot about it. And so, instead of the water based things that he does in the current It, I would have him reside at a power plant instead of a sewer. Okay.
Oh,
That's where he would live.
okay.
So I see him posted up back there with like all these screens, just like watching the kids like a perv, the perv that he is. Because I did find him kind of pervy. Thought he was kind of strange. How much he liked kids was a little strange for me. So I would have this mostly be girls starring in it, because right now it's like a bunch of boys and like one girl or something in the remake. I don't even know if there is any girls in the
Yeah.
first one,
No, I think there are.
but I think there might only be one in the like
Yeah, in the
group.
first one, yeah.
Yeah. And so I want more girls. I want them to almost all be girls and maybe only just have one or two boys.
Yeah, because if you've noticed in the films, the girls are a little fearless
Mm-hmm.
and the boys are a little scared.
Right. And so I think it would be cool to have a bunch of fearless girls and a couple scaredy boys and even maybe some scared girls too. Who knows? So it could be like a badass story of them defeating this like gross male clown. Like a bunch of little girls would be doing it, which I think would be interesting. So I'm going to say that maybe they defeat him by using technology of the times against him. So I think maybe he likes to be kind of a voyeur of sorts. Like he likes to look in on these kids' lives, but he doesn't really want people to look in on his. So he doesn't want people watching him or anything. So I think somehow they would take a ton of like photos or videos of him and somehow figure out how to like film him and invade his space, kind of like paparazzi. And he would eventually shrivel up and die from all of the exposure that he was getting because he's not used to people being inside of his own life. He's only used to inserting himself into other people's. And he sees you know, how much that hurts him. And he dies.
Mine is going to be the last film in the Halloween series. I feel like because this is such a long running franchise, I feel like there was so much build up around this specific film because it was said to be the last of the franchise in itself. But I feel like I was kind of let down with the ending a little bit, and honestly, a little bit of the entirety of the plot line in itself. I think that Laurie, or Jamie Lee Curtis's character, should have been the only one to kill Michael because this was between him and her. Yes, he destroyed an entire community. I understand that it had grown over the course of the last, like, what, 70 years or whatever it was. But I think that it was so long drawn out. And I think their specific relationship was also like the most long drawn out. And I think that her character deserved so much more recognition for all the bullshit that she had to deal with.
Yeah, decades of bullshit.
Insane decades of stalking and then him going into a mental facility and then coming back. I also don't like the fact that he just kept coming back stronger and stronger and stronger because it didn't really make sense. He's supposed to be a human being, not this like spiritual entity or like this demonic. I mean, yes, kind of like a demonic character, but not an
He's supposed to,
immortal
yeah, he's
being.
supposed to still really be a live human being.
Right. So there were so many times where he definitely should have fucking died. And for some reason he didn't. And that just shows that it seems more like he's a little bit more immortal. I also don't like the fact that we never got a face reveal.
I need to see it.
We never got a Michael Myers face reveal. I want to know who this man is that has been stalking Laurie all these fucking years, destroying an entire community, and then to go and what a whole community to attack him. And then this was kind of badass. They did throw him in like a wood chipper, but I fear that it could, like, Laurie just could have blew him up.
Well, they definitely should have looked at him before they threw him in there. They could have grabbed his face shit
They
off.
could have taken it off.
My last one. So, as much as I love a moral dilemma movie, I feel like in I Know What You Did Last Summer, which we talked about, I think, a
Couple
couple
episodes
episodes
ago.
ago or something for some reason. I don't know why we
I
talked about
forget.
it. But anyway, so I feel like these kids did everything wrong. So if it were me, I would, of course, have called the cops immediately once, and tried to save the pedestrian after he got hit with the car.
Mm-hmm.
If he was really dead, then I don't, maybe not, but he was alive. Like they knew he was alive because he like grabbed her and was like, help me or whatever the fuck. And then they still pushed him into the water or whatever, which I thought was
Yep, it's
stupid.
fucked up.
Yeah. Also, because they could have easily picked the soberest person there and said that they were driving if they were so worried about a DUI situation from like hitting this pedestrian. Because, like, really, why are you walking out in this windy ass road in the middle of the night? You know what I mean? Like, that's very much an accident that could have happened.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. You're also wearing dark ass clothing.
Yeah, but it was because they were scared because they were drinking. But it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you could have you could have done something about that. However, that's not interesting. So, for the sake of the movie, we have to go to the other extreme, which is when they discover that the guy is still awake, they have to kill him. Like, they have to kill him because if he's still awake and you just push him in the water, how do you know he's going to die? Like, wouldn't you be just as worried about that as you were about the fact that you were going to leave him on the side of the road? Like, I guess you could think that maybe he
Yeah.
could drown, but like, kill him. Make sure he's dead. Like, if you're going to go, just go to the extreme. So, if the kids were smart, they would never come home from college every year, by the way, after they had done this, especially not just a year later. That's crazy. They go away for a year, then they come back
Yeah,
and they
that's
just,
insane.
right. So they would go out, they should go off studying abroad or some shit. Like they should get the
Yeah, go
farthest
to Europe.
they should get the farthest away from this place as they possibly can for a couple of years, really, until, they know that things are okay. So, say they do go home, though, like in the movie, when this shit starts happening with like the letters and stuff, they really need to go, like, lean into their investigation instead of running from it and equip themselves for battle, because what they do is they kind of just like brush it off every time. They're like, oh, this is weird. It's like, no, this is very weird, and you should know that it might be something that has to do with this fucking murder that you did last summer. It wasn't even that long ago.
Equipped for battle.
They should be. I mean, if you're gonna like basically try to commit a murder, you can do an investigation. You know what I mean? Like it's not that much. So the best thing that they should have done was like stay at someone's house, just like all of them together, and like not leave until they figured it out. But they wanted to be kids and they wanted to go party for the summer and like act like nothing was wrong. It's fucking crazy. So that way then they could also fight him all together, because like, considering from what we know, kind of like in Halloween, but like different even in this one, this is just one singular human man.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why can't you? And he looks kind of old, so like, why can't these young dudes and like whatever? Why couldn't you guys kill him or like whatever, fight him? So if I was going more along how the movie actually was, I would have had them made those different choices that I just mentioned. However, if I was going how I would do it from the beginning, I would actually have the man that they hit die after all. Okay. And the daughter of him be the killer. And I love me a female villain, so of course I'm always going to pick a girl to be the killer. I would also like it. I also like it when there's two killers, like Scream style, kind of. So maybe her stepbrother is one of the people who becomes friends with this group to find out their involvement. And we just think he's like in on the whole thing, even though he wasn't there that night, and like supporting those people and those friends. But then later on in the movie, we find out that he's just really using them to get info that he then brings back to his sister. And the two of them are murdering everyone. So maybe even Sarah Michelle Gellar's character dies, then this girl, who's like the real murderer, gets to be the beauty queen. So she's like getting things that she wants, like through killing these people. And maybe the stepbrother is actually secretly in love with Jennifer Love Hewitt's character and wants Freddie Prinze Jr. out of the way so that he can have her, which is why he's trying to kill him. But when the sister finds this out in the final scene where they are about to kill Jennifer Love Hewitt and the stepbrother steps in and saves her instead, then the sister kills the brother herself.
OT.
Yeah. And somehow Jennifer still escapes, though. And maybe in the sequel, the sister comes back completely like had plastic surgery. She looks like a completely different person. And she like goes to the same college as her or something. She like transfers from a different school. And then she becomes the killer once again. And then we can have a different scene. We can have it at the college for the second one.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. That would have been a nice twist.
Yeah. So have me do the rewrite.
Yes.
For the new one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit. Thank you for getting spooky with us this October. We will have many more Let's Stories, I'm a Blank, Let's Go Back, and Rewrite History in future episodes, along with several other fun-filled segments and guests.
In the meantime, make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at OCS Productions and let us know what content you're loving, what content you're hating. Give us a vibe. We want to hear from you guys. And also, give us a sparkling 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts because, hey, we want that. And write a review while you're at it.
A spooky 5 stars.
Yeah, and a spooky review.
If you love Halloween and you love scary stuff, 5 it up. High 5 it up.
5 it up.
So we will catch you next time for more She Said.
Let's